Good morning, everyone. My name is Maddie Cash. If you have not met me, I'm an attorney with Matt. Happy to be here with you guys today. Today, we're going to be covering an issue that many townships face, which is filling unfilled township offices or vacancies in office. I'm going to go over Matt updates first before I dive into that topic. But if you have any questions throughout, obviously you can always send them into the chat and we'll address them as they come in as much as possible, or email or call any of us if you have a separate question or you just want a more individual conversation. My information will be on the screen, and I'm sure that the trainers and Lisa would be happy to provide theirs as well. But trainers today, so today we'll have newly added pieces of Township Tuesday that we're trying out, which is a segment from our lovely trainers here. Today we have Maria and Anita. They'll be covering information regarding CTAS and other important updates in areas in which they specialize or questions that they've been getting most frequently. So they'll be joining more regularly on Township Tuesdays to provide members with those kinds of updates and to be here to answer questions that maybe they would have more information on than I would. Just a reminder, it's no charge to reach out to Matt or any of our trainers for individual questions or training needs. So make sure you do that when needed. Then finally, also Lisa will be providing information and updates for Maddit. We all know how essential Maddit is in providing coverage and support tailored specifically to townships. So she'll be here to join us for that as well. And I will pass it over to Maria. Maria, you're muted.
Here we are. I'm so sorry. Takes a little bit. Okay, so I'm sure most of you have heard that we have the latest update 2 for CTAS. Number 1 had some issues, and so with 2, hopefully those are taken care of. The very first thing I want to cover with this, it comes from the state auditor's office. All CTAS users should have received an email with the same information. Then there's links provided in that email that will help you also get acquainted with what all will take place with update 2. So the very first thing I want to cover is to make sure that all employees are updated with their para information. A lot of us do pay into para, and there's some that do not. So you can always check with para if you have questions about whether or not you even qualify to participate, and they're very helpful. And if you don't have that number, I can provide that to you all. I'm sure it's on our MAT website as well. The other thing, number 2, is to make sure you have installed all your Windows updates. Even if you have to check twice, make sure that your computer is also up to date to handle the state auditor's website CTAS program. And there again, if you go into the state auditor's website and click on training and guidance, you will find a tab in there for CTAS. Just click on that one and it will give you all the information that your computer, especially if you're changing out a computer, make sure you have those requirements for that program. And also make sure that you update, backup CTAS before you update and install any updates. Restart your computer and back it up again. And then also, without the start, program may fail. And so there is a helpline available if you want to make note of that. It is 651-296-6262. And then also an email. They would prefer for us to use these 2 items. The CTAS email is ctas@osa.state.mn.us. And honestly, that is all that I have, but I am a trainer and I've been with Matt for 3 years, and I do a lot of one-on-one CTAS training for townships. So if you ever need or want that kind of help, give us a call. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
There's a question in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, there is. Is para optional? Yes, it is. A lot of people that are township officers do not necessarily even want to participate, but I always refer to para and ask you to check with them. I don't believe it is mandatory, especially like when I was a state employee and was getting my MSRS. I also did pitch into para because I wanted that, because it's continuing even after I retired from my state retirement program. Excuse me, yes, that. And then the other question is, can you place the information in chat? Maddie, can you place that, the OSA information that I just shared? Can you put that on our website if it's not in there already? I think
Para's contact information, you mean?
Even that as well, yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, I have the
Right.
phone number if that's what they're looking for.
I'll place it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Then I guess it's my turn.
Okay, yep.
Okay. I don't know why. Okay. Also concerning the CTAS update, one of the things that they have done is the tax reports that you use for your 941, 944s, all your tax deductions are now being split between fund and account numbers. Somehow on one of the updates, it got dropped and was throwing everything in the general fund, and it is no, now they got it separated out the way it should be. Also, when you post your payroll, you must enter the unallocated fund amount for those odd pennies. Once you do it, it locks it in now. It used to just disappear. You can now enter the payroll distribution in payroll after it's been posted. So say a supervisor does something under roads and he didn't write it down, and all of a sudden he looks at something and looks at the net pay report that he has to sign off and he doesn't see it on there, then you can go back in and you can check it, and it should do that. Schedule 8, which is the accrued insurance report, is now been cleaned up. You can either choose it itemized out as to when you choose interest and when you don't, but you can also do a summary. So you will have a choice if you use the Schedule 8. I personally don't use the Schedule 8 until the end of the year. So, because that's part of my end of the year reports. I'm also a trainer. I'm up here in northern Minnesota, in Aiken, and I also do individual training. I have a big group one coming up to work on CTAS, and I'm kind of excited for it because they're excited, and we need to kind of work together to make this program work. And that's one of the objects of this, us being part of this Township Tuesday, is so that we can get the information out there and we can work together. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Anita. Next is Lisa with an update with Maddit.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Today is just a quick update regarding the consolidated liability coverage. That does go into effect on July 1, and the premiums are due on August 25th, 2025. Invoices have been sent to both the clerks and the treasurers, and the policies will be following this week. The reason we did it separately is because some people were confused of how to just print the first page, which is the invoice. So the follow-up will include both, but we just wanted to test this. So feedback is appreciated. If you want to send it to mattetinsurance@mntownships.org. Secondly, we do have a new team member with Matted. Her name is Linda. So if you're getting emails from her, please welcome her. She joined us a couple of weeks ago, a great addition to the team. And then we do have the schedule for the 2025 to 2027 for the appraisals. We will be following up with an email to the townships. There was already some for the 23 and 24. And again, we're putting those out every 5 years. So if you have any questions and or any issues with the ones, please email us and we can work with the our EXL appraisal company. So that is it for Maddit. Thank you. And if you got one other thing, if you guys do have any other questions specific to your township, please email us mattitinsurance@mntownships.org. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Lisa. Okay, please, looks like the chat, it says, please address the comments in the chat. Where and when is training?
Okay, Lisa
Would-
or Maddie,
Yes.
yes, can I just say something about that?
Oh,
And then
yeah.
it goes back to you about appointed stuff. But anyway, the training can be set up individually. You can call us. Our contact information is on the MAT website under staff, contact staff. And so either if it's related to CTAS, Anita is up north and she can help with those people up north. And or you can call anybody and we will get you to the right person for the appropriate training that you're requesting.
Also too, they were asking where the training that I'm going to have the class at. It is near Floodwood, Minnesota on the 27th and it starts at 9 a.m. But if there's any other group trainings and stuff like that, you have to go through Gussie and Steve, and then it makes its rounds. So, but I am willing to do group training if needed. And like I said, the one is coming up in Floodwood on the 27th. Okay.
Thank you, guys. Okay, Warri Township said about the fines not being in para. I saw that question scrolling up. Sorry, we missed that one. It depends on, I believe, from my understanding, it depends on the income. So I would reach out to para and just double check on whether you are required to have that person covered or not. They would have that information and be able to help you out. Okay, so I will get started here if there's no more questions regarding that information. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see my PowerPoint notes. All right. Try to get it out of the way. Okay. All right. Can you just give me a heads up or thumbs up to make sure you can all see it? Great. Thanks, Anita. Okay. All right, so today we're going to talk about strategies for filling township vacancies. But first, I'm going to go over some updates with Matt. If it lets me change the, oh, there. Okay, now it's letting me. Okay, so district meetings are coming up. They are starting in August. They go from August 5th to August 25th, depending on where your area is going to meet. So take a look at our website, see which district you're in and where that location is. Some of them don't have a location yet, but the times of the meetings are different too, so pay attention to that. Check our website for updates on those as they come in, or election information if your district is holding an election. Matt's staff will be at these district meetings to provide updates within our organization and legislative updates, and to answer any questions. And of course, to sign autographs for a small fee. I'm just kidding, that's not a bad joke. And then the LNR, the Legislative and Research Committee, is meeting on the 12th of September. And it's not letting me click. At 8 a.m. The location is yet to be determined, so keep an eye out for that information. But I just wanted to get it on your radar. For those of you who aren't familiar with LNR, the Legislative Research Committee helps develop and review recommended legislative action that our office is going to take in the next year. So it's a discussion on what townships need from the legislature, what kind of changes we want to see as a membership organization. So just start thinking about potential resolutions to submit for consideration. Keep in mind those resolutions should be related to township government and to the duties of the officers involved in township government, and avoid any really specific local issues. But obviously, if it's something that is important to you, we want to see it. So make sure to just keep those on your mind with this coming up, because resolutions need to be submitted a week after that final district meeting. So a form for that is will be available on our website. I don't believe the 2025 form is yet, but just keep an eye out for that. And then also we got a new logo, as you can see right here. It's very beautiful. And so that is what you'll be seeing on our website, and coming up in Township Tuesdays. We're going to have it formatted into our PowerPoint presentations. So that will be our new face for the organization going forward. And then there is a new township, which is really exciting because that hasn't happened in many years. Formed near Cook, Minnesota. So yay, welcome to them. It's pretty exciting news. All right. Question in the chat. Maddie, do we have an update on the level of income that would change up the requirement for annual outside audit besides combined clerk and treasurer position? Oh, that's Maria. It would be, I would have to look up what the change has been. I don't know if there's an update yet. I would have to take a look and see what that is. Does anybody else see the profile of George Washington on the edge of the state? Oh, kinda. Yeah, I see that. Okay. I would have to find that. I don't know if there's an update yet. Sorry, Maria. But I can let you know after this. All right. The new township's tentative name is Goodwill Township, but that's tentative, so we'll see what the official name comes to be. All right, so filling the gap. My goal today is to kind of walk you through the legal requirements, common challenges and strategies you can use when no one runs for office or steps forward to serve in a township position, whether that be an appointed role, an elected role, or an appointment to fill a vacancy in an elected role. When a township office goes unfulfilled, there can be a lot of difficulties that the township runs into. The township doesn't run as effectively, or sometimes at all, and essential duties get overlooked, and road maintenance maybe falls behind, finances, elections could be delayed, compromised. There are serious consequences to not filling a role that's needed in a township. It can mean that you lose your quorum, which affects decision-making abilities. And beyond that, there's technical issues, maybe legal consequences to an action or delayed action. And there's always, of course, the broader issue of maintaining public trust, which is something that township officers should always be focused on. All right. It said I got a new comment in the chat, but I'm not seeing it. So resend that if you have a question. All right. So what is a vacancy? That's where I'm going to start. Minnesota Statute 351.02 describes several ways in which a vacancy can occur. That includes resignation. The process for resigning is covered in 351.01, which states that it must be made in writing and signed by the resigning officer. So you want to make sure you get that in writing and accept that resignation by resolution. And they can withdraw that resignation before it is accepted. So that is an option too. But vacancies also occur with the loss of residency if somebody moves out of the township and they're no longer eligible to serve in that position. Death, obviously you can't serve postmortem, but removal of office, criminal violations, or requiring oath, or violations of oath that require you to be removed from office. No qualified candidate runs for the position will create a vacancy, or if the candidate with the highest number of votes declines office, doesn't want the position. So if no one is elected, the seat is declared vacant. You don't have to wait for someone to show up. The board then has the authority and really the responsibility to then fill that vacancy. Now, common reasons why offices go unfilled, in my experience, there could be many reasons that maybe I haven't heard or I'm not familiar with. You guys are a lot closer to this situation than I am, but people might not be interested in the position. They're worried for whatever reason that it's going to be too much time or too much stress. People don't know what the job involves, so they're weary of trying something new and taking that on. They might assume that it's highly technical, that it's full-time, that it's going to take up too much of their time, and they're worried that they might not be able to, they don't have the knowledge to complete all of those requirements. And then some residents might also be intimidated by the public nature of the position. So maybe they don't care for public speaking, or they are worried about liability concerns that come along with being a public officer, or things along those lines. Or just the pressure of it, being a leader in the community, and maybe the perceived responsibility that comes along with that. And in smaller aging communities, there may just be fewer eligible or willing residents who will take that on. But often what I find is there are people who have considered serving on the board or serving as a township officer, and they just haven't been asked in the right way, right? You guys have the experience here. So if you have any reasons in the chat that you think I missed as to why a position might go unfulfilled, I'd be happy to hear them. But those are the ones that I've come across in my experience. All right, so appointment authority. So what does the board do when there is a vacancy? So if the clerk or treasurer position is vacant, if it's elected, then the board members appoint someone to fill that seat. If this is a vacant clerk or treasurer position, that's always appointed. So the town has adopted option B for the vacant position, whether that be clerk, treasurer, or both. Then the board simply appoints a new person to the role once that person leaves or is unappointed. Now, if it's a supervisor position, the remaining board members and the clerk make up the appointment committee to fill that vacancy. This is the only time a clerk has a vote. So they vote along with the remaining supervisors to fill that role. They are not a tiebreaker vote in that, but they just have an equal voting power on that committee. So many people ask, well, aren't they the tiebreaker if it's 2 against 1? Sure, in that scenario, they would be a tiebreaker, but they're not a tiebreaker vote. They just have an equal vote on that board. Or committee, excuse me. All right. The appointee serves until the next election, when voters then choose who will finish the term, unless there is more than 1 year remaining on the term and the vacancy occurs on or after the 14th day before the first day to file an affidavit of candidacy. If both those conditions are met, the position will not be on the ballot at the upcoming election, and they will instead serve until the next town election after that. So if it's too close, then they will continue serving until that following election. If a board does not fill a vacancy, a special election may be called to fill that position in the same way that a special meeting is called. Oh, thank you. In the chat, Chris put in the threshold for towns with the combined clerk and treasurer position to have to get that outside audit. And it's annual revenue of more than $276,000 or more must receive that annual outside audit. And then if it's less than that, it's every 5 years. Thank you, Chris. Okay, so remember that the appointee, whoever they are, the incoming officer must file an oath of office before starting their duties. And it's not strictly required, but it may be good practice to post notice of the appointment in your posting place or where people might get their information to maintain transparency and to introduce the officer, and maybe introduce the officer at your next open meeting for people to get to know that person. All right, recruiting strategies. Sometimes it's difficult to get someone to fill this role, to agree to take on this appointed position. So unfortunately, that falls onto the responsibility of the remaining township officers to fill that role. So some practical recruitment strategies are just like any other recruitment strategies, right? Personal outreach is number one. It's the most effective approach, I think. Asking individuals directly, especially people who are really involved in the community and you think might have an interest or aren't pursuing it due to a certain fear. Maybe you could address that fear. But if a person is might be skilled in that position, or they are a leader in the community, it might be a good idea to just speak with that person and see what their interest is. Put out flyers, right? Let people know that this is available. Post notice at the town hall, the coffee shop, the post office, on your website, maybe a local newsletter that people use or a community Facebook group. Let people know that you're looking for someone to fill this role, and you want information on who's interested to take that on. You can always ask past officers or people who have retired to come back temporarily. They might be able to do that, or to help the incoming officer begin their role and walk them through what it might look like to make people feel more comfortable. So what happens, question in the chat, what happens if a person resigned in May of 2025 and the next election is in November of 2026? So if a person resigns, that you would appoint someone new to that role depending on, oops, sorry, went too far. There. Okay, so if there's more than 1 year remaining on the term and the vacancy occurs on or after the 14th day before the first day to file affidavit of candidacy, which I believe that's before that. So they would serve until the next election, May, June, July. Yes, I believe they would fill, and if there's more than 1 year on the term, they would fill until the next election, that appointed person. Oops. People are more likely to say yes, going off of that, asking volunteers if they'd consider stepping back or helping temporarily. People who have filled the office already, maybe they're retired, they're done with township work, but if you ask them kindly to kind of either temporarily take over the role again, or to assist incoming officers on doing that work, as a deputy or something along those lines, that's a good option to get more people involved, to make sure that they know that they'll be supported in this and they'll have help and they'll have resources. People are much more likely to say yes when they are directly asked and told why they're a good fit. They want to hear that they're valued and they're needed. People want information on what help is available to them in this role. They want to know where can I get the answers to the questions that I have. Let them know that we exist, right? Matt is here to help you. We have a website, we have manuals, we have trainings, we have attorneys and trainers who are available to you to help you out. So you're not on your own in this. And I think that's something that would be really helpful in the recruitment process. And you want, leave them thinking it was their idea all along. They wanted to do this. Compliments go a long way. People want to know that they are a valued member of the community and why you think they would be good at this. But a simple conversation goes a long way in recruitment. Now, long-term strategies. At the end of the day, if you want to prevent future vacancies, people leaving the office early, of course, there are certain situations where you can't. If an officer passes away or things like that, that can't be avoided. But if you want to prevent people from quitting, creating a culture of involvement and healthy community is really important, and public trust. So even beyond just within the officers themselves, but consider hosting maybe a Township 101 session at the town hall before the next filing period, where residents can learn about these positions and what entails and what work goes into them. Get people interested in taking on this work. Even if you don't have a vacant position, it could be a good idea to encourage people to get involved, maybe at the next election or at the annual meeting. I know sometimes people struggle to get people to show up and vote at those. So just providing people with the information is a really useful tool to get people involved. So even just sitting everybody down and telling them, this is what a clerk does, this is what a treasurer does, this is what a supervisor does. I think that would be really helpful in getting people's gears turning on, could I do this role? Does this interest me? Maybe offer shadowing opportunities for people to see, excuse me, maybe offer shadowing opportunities for people who are really interested in taking on an officer position. Let them speak one-on-one with that officer and talk about what that position entails. Of course, hopefully retiring officers or the officer that is leaving the position will help onboard the new one. So that's always helpful. And remind them that training is available through us, and there's always resources to help them out. You can also adopt option B through your township. That is to make the clerk or treasurer position an appointed position, and that gives you a little more flexibility in your options for who can fill that role. If you're really struggling to fill that role with people who live in your township, it's an elected role. There are certain criteria they have to meet, but if you change to option B, that changes the position from an elected position to an appointed position, and you can do that for the clerk or the treasurer or both. And the person who is appointed to that position doesn't need to be a resident of the township, so it gives a little bit more flexibility to that. However, they should be eligible to hold the office within the township in any other way. Gussie said, just to clarify, if an individual is appointed to a non-governing body position within a township to perform governmental functions required of a public officer, for example, a township clerk or treasurer, and their monthly earnings exceed $425, they must be enrolled in a coordinated plan or para. Thank you, Gussie. That's what my understanding was as well. Okay. Back back to our long-term strategies. Okay, so option B, you can appoint your clerk or treasurer. That way they don't have to live within the township. It gives you a little bit more flexibility on who can fill that role if you're really just struggling to find a body to do it. But with these options, I'll go over option D because they both require the same process. But you can also adopt option B to combine the clerk and treasurer position, which makes one less person that you need to fill that role. But it also gives that person twice as many duties to fulfill. So you have to make sure that that person is willing to take that on and pay them accordingly. It is a lot of work to have a combined clerk and treasurer position, and you do need to do that outside audit that we talked about earlier, where it's either once every year or once every 5 years, depending on the town's revenue. But again, that is an option for long-term strategies in filling these undesired roles or roles that you are just having trouble finding someone who's interested. Both of these options, option B and option D, we have a document on those optional forms of government under our Township General Information section of our information library. It's the first document, GI 1000, and it walks you through how you can adopt these options, but you do need to put it on the ballot. It needs to be voted on at an election. So a lot of times people don't think about it until it's too late to put it on the ballot, and they can't use this option until the next election. So if you know that there's a position that you maybe are struggling to fill, make sure you think about that in advance, and you can make those decisions earlier on so that it can be on your next ballot. All right, temporary solutions. So here's the problem with temporary solutions. There are no long-term fixes that don't involve properly filling the role. The filling a vacancy is a requirement. It's mandatory. It's not discretionary. You have to do it. Purposely avoiding to fill the role will cause issues for the township that I talked about earlier, right? Delayed decision-making processes, maybe missing deadlines, opening up the township to liability, and at the end of the day, failing to fill this vacancy could be a failure to fulfill a public duty on your end. So it is a duty to fill this role. You have to do it. There's no time period specified, but as soon as possible, it's really important that you get someone in there as much as you can. So in terms of temporary solutions, there aren't a lot of good ones. If you're struggling to find someone to fill this role, it's going to be difficult to find someone or to get the township's work done. Be careful about redistributing responsibilities amongst existing officers. Remember, there is a statute that says that if you perform the duties of a public office of which you are not elected or appointed, you may end up impersonating a public official, which is a crime. So you don't want to do that. Redistributing those responsibilities is not necessarily a good idea. So make sure you get someone to fill that role as much as you can. So not great news in terms of temporary solutions. There aren't a lot of good routes there. When you absolutely cannot fill the role, you've done everything you can, you've really gone above and beyond, and you still can't fill it despite your best efforts, then you want to document your work. That's always really important. Keep note of the phone calls you've made, the notices you've posted. A paper trail matters in terms of whether you're doing anything nefarious or not. So you want to make sure you keep a record of all of your efforts. That's really important. And then you want to contact your township attorney for guidance on how to proceed and get advice from them on where to go from here. maybe they'll have additional recommendations for your township specifically, or your area. But dissolution and consolidation are rare and serious steps for a township to take. And you want to make sure that your township stays alive and is active. And really that is on the leaders of the community who are the township officers. You guys really shoulder that responsibility. So being active in this recruitment process is really important. That's what it comes down to. But to wrap it up, I'll end the slideshow here so I can see your faces. Stop sharing there. Okay. Don't assume that people know what the job involves. Explain it clearly so they know what they're getting into, that people are more comfortable. It might sizzle out some of their fears that they have taking on this kind of work. And then be proactive and personal and one-on-one, right? Be a politician, really get your boots on the ground and get people to be involved with the community. But stay positive. A lot of residents care deeply about their community like you do. And sometimes they just need a little bit of encouragement to get involved. So that's my final word. Now, I'd love to hear from you guys, what's worked, what hasn't worked. But if you have success stories, I'd love to hear those too. Otherwise, does anybody have any questions?
I do, of course, always. I always have a question. You know that, Maddie. So, and one of the things that I've encouraged people to do too is to, and you may have gone over this already, but I'm just going to say it again, is to contact the townships around you, if it's clerk or treasurer that is gone, and ask them if they would be willing to, during the time you're looking, to fill in that position. And I always say too, you know, if you can be somebody's deputy in another township, you should do that too. And my question to you is so if this never gets filled, does the county ever get involved in filling the position of a clerk, treasurer, supervisor?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm not aware of the county getting involved much in these positions. Maybe if you're on the brink of dissolution or something along those lines, you're really, really struggling to get people to get involved. It can't hurt to reach out and see if they can help you in that way. But I haven't spoken with any townships who have worked with their county in this kind of way.
And one other thing, if you don't mind me adding this too, when I did put in the fact that you are earning $425 a month or more, that you would be part of the coordinated plan through PARA. That does not include somebody who's appointed to fill an elected position. They still have the option to either participate or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Gussie. Yeah, in terms of whether a person is qualified for PARA or not, PARA can be really helpful in kind of giving you guidance in that. So reach out to them. It can't hurt to get their input too, if you're unsure. All right. Does anybody else have any questions? All right. Well, enjoy your first day of not rainy summer. I'm going golfing, so I hope you all are also doing something outside. But reach out to me with any questions, of course, that come up, and I hope you all have a wonderful week.
Thanks, Maddie.
Yep. Bye, everyone.
Excellent job, Maddie. Thank you so very much.
Thanks, Reno.